Hey everybody, this is Jeff Livingston of Cognitive Path, and I'm speaking today with Jennifer Bond, Vice President of U.S. Federal Avaya, and also U.S. SLED, which is State, Local, and Education,
That's right. That's right.
Boy, that is awesome. I like that SLED acronym.
The SLED, yes.
The SLED. Okay, cool. And you're in from Texas. Which part?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, the cool part of Texas.
The fun part of Texas, yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Very cool. How do you like being in D.C. during peak foliage?
I love it. I got off the plane last night and walked around and was talking to some people saying, I wish I'd brought earmuffs. It was wonderful and fantastic and cold and fallish and amazing.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Really
I've got more pictures to take, too.
It knew you were coming and it timed it for you.
It was exactly timed. Perfect.
That's right. It's pretty cool. So look, Avaya has a great history, right? You guys have been around a while, obviously also in state, local, and education. How does Avaya approach innovation in your markets?
Wow. Well, innovation means so many different things to so many of our different SLED customers, as we've talked. And you really have to boil down to the state, local, and education markets are so different and yet similar. Their challenges vary so greatly. So we've really taken it as a personal approach to each customer's journey and really identifying, going to customer with our story, marketing and working with the specific agencies on specific use cases, and realizing that no agency or customer's journey will ever be the same. They could be similar. Also really listening to the customer and the go-to-customer approach and having use cases and stories that we can share with them so we're consistent, saying something like, hey, in D.C. they're doing this, in the state of Washington they're doing this, here was the impact.
Yeah, I used to be a CMO of an ed tech company. It really varies, not even from state to state, but really county to county. It's really quite impressive.
So different.
So you're also helping them work within a modern environment, yet they have their legacy or existing infrastructure. Kind of talk about how you help them innovate within that context.
Right. Well, the first part is there's no shame, right, in having some legacy. The beautiful part about the Avaya story is the innovation without disruption. So we can take that legacy environment and bring them to the future. And a lot of times it's maybe one application at a time,
right.
One use case at a time. So taking a look and saying, again, no shame in keeping on-prem. There's a lot of reasons we have. I think a lot of companies have been maybe, I use the word shame intentionally, forcing customers to feel like they've got to move to the cloud or they're behind.
Got to be in the cloud.
But really, and that's okay to be in the cloud, but really looking at it and saying, if you're not in the cloud, what are you trying to accomplish? How are you serving citizens, faculty, students by what you're doing? And what makes sense to put in the cloud? And also with your budget cycles, you may not be able to, none of the agencies just jump full force, or a school or a university. They're not going to jump full force into the cloud. So again,
sure.
Getting to know them, finding out what their applications are, what they're doing, and some challenges. It goes back to just really the ABCs, right? And saying, okay, this is what you want to do. Let's keep it on-prem. Avaya's got a great story for that, but let's layer on top some applications so you can dip your toe in the cloud and see how it's working for you.
Yeah, right. It's part and parcel of any technological movement. You have to be here, you have to be there, but really, do you?
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific use case you might want to bring up for that SLED market?
Yeah, one of the things we've seen, specifically Leon County down in Florida, when there's emergency situations, really helping them navigate through emergencies, hurricanes and such.
Were they impacted this season?
This was actually last season. We were able to deploy an emergency contact center in less than 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so really looking at standing up in an emergency situation and bringing the government closer to the citizens who need help, which is really what it's all about.
It's really impressive. My better half works at Duke Energy, so I am very familiar with that emergency type of situation.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
And it also comes down to, no matter how prepared you are, you just can't be prepared. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And so we see so many agencies and so many of our customers really doing their due diligence, doing the hard work to prepare. But obviously, an emergency is an emergency, and you're not always prepared for every scenario. And so I'm proud that we are partnering with them and able to just put aside process and stand up in emergency situations.
Very interesting. So obviously with state and local government, They have to communicate. They have to collaborate. It kind of helps them improve their stakeholder satisfaction and engagement. Can you dive into a case study for that?
From a citizen satisfaction perspective, or yeah,
Improve public engagement.
yeah. So one of the things we were just talking before, talking about children and getting my 15-year-old just went and got a learner's permit, and and you talk about how as someone who works and consults with agencies and government, but as a parent going in for this scenario, right? And it really, I just shared the story upstairs at a roundtable too. It's really eye-opening. First of all, the tremendous burden the agencies have to keep us safe and all of the documents and all of the things they need to do. But what about just sending a text saying, hey, Jennifer, your appointment is on Monday at 10 a.m. You're driving an hour to go to this appointment. Here are the documents you should bring. Bring your water bill, bring your social security card, bring your mortgage statement. Yes, bring a checkbook. All these things that you may not know. I sat in the office at the DMV, and I'm not picking on my state. It was a wonderful experience, but I saw so many people get turned away.
Wow.
Because they didn't have their documentation, they didn't have the right form filled out, they didn't bring
Very
their checkbook.
human things, right?
And then you think about the government worker who's sitting on the other side of that screen, who probably gets people frustrated with them all day.
Sure.
And they're probably thinking, well, why didn't you read the website? Well, it's not intuitive. So I think really one of the things we're talking about is connecting citizens to their government in a human way, but also looking at both aspects of it, making it easier, because it's a bad look for the DMV. It's a bad look for the person who's not prepared. And it's something that's supposed to be exciting, and it's kind of emotional too. You know, you're taking the day off school to go do this, taking time off work to go do this. Help me be prepared. Help me be a good citizen. I understand that the government has a lot to do to keep all of us safe. They're following their process. And so really Avaya connecting like the chat, the AI, taking a mundane task and bringing it and letting the citizen know what's expected of them.
Sure, that makes sense. Now, given your SLED experience, obviously agencies are complex. They're departments and bureaus, and maybe they work together well, maybe they don't. How do you guys help them collaborate and foster decision-making across different departments and bodies within a state and local government?
Yeah, I have the great fortune of having the U.S. team. So
Right.
as I said earlier on, we share a lot of experiences.
Sure.
Just being with our customers as much as possible, being with the agencies as much as possible, respectfully sharing what they're doing. Conferences like this, where you get to collaborate and share stories amongst each other and learn what others are doing, is another fantastic way. And then you talk about the budget piece. Again, it goes back to what we discussed earlier, breaking it down into digestible pieces, application-based, because no agency or university or anyone is going to be able to just say, oh, we're going to take out everything legacy and 100% switch. There's so many back-end applications touching everything too that nobody realizes. So breaking it out and really helping them on that journey piece by piece, and understanding. So many times they think, oh, we're just going to switch. And you think, well, there's like 700 dips into different systems there you're going to have to look at. So let's boil this down and let's figure it out and budget appropriately.
Right. And that makes it, chunking it down like that makes it much more manageable, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Very cool. All right. So I'm a little bit of a nerd. All right.
Okay.
So please forgive me. I'm going to get a little geeky on you here.
Okay.
So within the communication market within SLED, what are some of the key trends and technologies that people should look out for?
Oh, one of the top ones we've seen is translation.
Really?
Translation, so using AI to translate. And you think about, again, serving citizens from all different backgrounds.
Diverse backgrounds, correct.
And that language translation used to be a huge stressor.
Mandarin, Spanish,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
And spending millions of dollars on translation, like, oh, let me connect you to language line. Nothing wrong with that. But, just the time it takes, adding to the call, the frustration for the caller, feeling like, well, this is my government, you should understand me.
Sure.
So translation services is one of the top ones. We are also seeing a lot of, like going back to the mundane questions. I want to turn off my water. How many calls does a local government, your power company, college towns? I think this one always hits home. How many students are moving in and out? The call volume they're taking when school starts in the town, never mind the university, right? So taking some of those very simple AI chat-enabled engines and turning them into, freedom for these agents that are supporting these customers.
I imagine that involves a little bit of extra training. Is that right? Training
no.
the model, not
training the model, right?
Right.
But again, the mundane. If you look at an agency might be getting 400 or 500, 600 calls for the same thing a day.
Right.
You also think about the satisfaction, the employee satisfaction that's coming from not having to say, yes, send me this. I mean, they're taking that off and freeing up the agent to really support the more complex situations too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Little follow-up question, which is obviously when change comes, it can be hard to navigate. Right. And it sounds like obviously individually with each of these little scenarios, you guys are helping. They're not little, but you know how you're helping them out, right? But is there kind of like an ethos or approach that you take to help folks transition through change or to help navigate transitions?
Yeah, I mean, change is so rapid nowadays with technology. I also find that my customers haven't had rapid change necessarily, right? They've done things the way they've done things. And so it can be a scary endeavor for them. Again, going back to sharing experiences, which is what everything's about, right? Telling them this is how we did it here. Hang on. There's going to be some challenges. It's not always easy. The hardest part about my space is sometimes the change, right? And it's not even that the people supporting us don't want the change. It's also a lot of policy and regulation where they may not be able to change. So
right,
it's also
it's
having
easy.
Empathy. It's having the empathy around that too.
And their frustration with it, right?
Their frustration. They would like to do things more efficiently, but sometimes we can't. So also understanding that and just being there step by step.
Yeah, I think people forget that all the time, that folks that are working in the government really want to make a difference. Sometimes they're hampered by just legacy.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Correct. Okay, softball on the way out.
All right.
What's your favorite AI app that everybody should know about?
I'm going to go with an easy one, the ChatGPT.
All right.
My son has been interviewing for tech jobs, and it's funny when you look at, practice interview, right? I'm like, this is my oldest son, and practice interview. I'm like, do you need me to go through and role play? And he's like, Mom, I already have my questions. And I said, how do you have your questions? He goes, Mom, ChatGPT. I think that's a fantastic way to learn and engage, and it's here, right?
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And hard to believe it's only been 2 years.
It's so rapid and so smart, and I'm like, they're questions that I couldn't. I love that he's preparing, so it's not cheating, right? He's preparing with the technology that's available to him.
That's 100% correct. All right. Very good, Jennifer. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you.